like most actors writing their first play, it was all about me.
Billy, what's the story of you shifting from being an actor to being a writer?
I started out as an actor, and I hit a spot where I was not getting a lot of auditions. I was never a type. I'm half Italian, but I'm not completely Italian, so I'd go up against Italian kids and then I'd look like a wasp. Then I'd go up for wasp roles and I'd look ethnic or so. So I started writing myself roles for myself. And so I started writing the plays for myself, and then I started directing so no one messed up my plays. Then I started producing so no one messed up my direction. So I've done a lot of that stuff. And the plays ended up bringing me out to Hollywood to write for Bob Newhart, and entered the sitcom world doing that. And I go back and forth. I do my TV here, and then where most people go to Paris when they have some time off, I would go to New Jersey and put on a play, and then go back and forth. And in certain plays, we took to New York and did Off-Broadway, and then they're done all over the world.
I want to hear more about the stage plays in a little bit, but I'm curious, when you were told something in an audition, was it ethnically ambiguous, or they didn't tell you that back?
They didn't tell me anything. They told me nothing. I just wasn't getting any work. And I didn't go out for commercials. I just went out for movies and stuff. And there was one audition where I went out for a commercial, and it was the last one I went on, because I was there with this. I had to read with this girl, and the two of us are reading, and the casting director got a phone call in the middle of our audition, and she said, "Keep going." And I stopped, and the girl I was with kept reading. I went, "Wait a minute." And I took the phone out of the woman's hand and hung it up. I said, "Don't you ever do that to another actor again." And I walked out, and I called my agent and said, "I don't want to go on any more commercials. I'm done with that." Yeah.
And is that sort of the night that you furiously sat down and started writing, or you'd already been writing, so this was just something you decided to do more of?
I've always been writing, even as a kid. I would write stories about the people in my class in 5th grade and read it to the class and that kind of thing. And when I was in 9th grade, I wrote the play that the school put on. And then when I was in high school, I started running the children's theater at a local theater. I would write a new show every week, and we'd do it Saturdays and Sundays. But it had to be, I had to work around the existing set for the adult show, and there was no budget. So I would just scramble these things together. We had one throne that was backstage that you could use for the fairy tales. That was it. So I got to learn how to write fast, and also it taught me, when you're producing for the theater, because I ran my own theater, children's theater has got to be in there because it offsets the cost of the adults. So you've always got to do the children's theater. And as a writer, working with children's theater is a great learning experience, because the kids are the most honest audience you'll ever play to. If they hate it, they start talking. So you got to be able to catch their attention. I got in trouble with this theater, though, because I would do any fairy tale that had a girl's name in the title. That's the ones you did, because they filled the theater. All the divorced fathers would take their daughters something to do. Oh, we can go see Cinderella, And so I did Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Rapunzel, all those kind of shows. But when I did them, I thought it would be funny to have the stepsisters played by these two big burly guys in drag. And I had the stepmother, I cast a drag queen who had been in a local production of Peter Pan. He played Captain Hook, and I was one of the pirates or something. So I cast him, and he could imitate anybody, so I had him play the evil stepmother as Betty Davis. And the audience went nuts for it. So the next week, we did Sleeping Beauty, and I had him do Tallulah Bankhead as the witch. And everybody went crazy for that, but then the parents started to complain. And the lady got me after the show, and she said, what am I supposed to do if my son sees your show and wants to put on a dress? I said, bring him back, I'll put him in the next show. But I've always done, children's theater was a great way to start. And then when I finally, in 1978, I was doing the first Star Trek movie. I had a very small part in that. I had a bigger part, but Leonard Nimoy came to work and suddenly I had less and less to do. It's another story. But anyway, so I was sitting around with all this alien makeup on, and I couldn't go out for lunch. They didn't want anybody to see me because it was a big secretive thing to be doing this movie. So I was trapped in my dressing room when I wasn't on camera. So I called my girlfriend and said, bring my typewriter. We're going to make use of this. We're not going on enough auditions anyway. I'm not doing anything when I'm not, when I can't leave the room. So we wrote ourselves the first play, which was Love, Sex, and the IRS. And like most actors writing their first play, it was all about me. And if you read through our plays in order, you can see the learning curve of how I learned how to write, and then it stopped being about me and started being about the show, the story, more important than what I got to do as a comedian.
And I'm curious, why stage plays and not screenplays?
I had no show business in my family. All I knew was the theater, really, and I had no idea how to get into the movies at all. I eventually did, but I didn't know at the time. So when I started writing, and also I love being in front of an audience. That to me, I mean, film's great, TV's great. I like being on stage with my friends putting on my shows. So it was always about theater for me.
What are the skills that you learned as an actor that you then used as a writer?
It's been very important to be an actor when you're a writer, I think, because you know what will work in front of an audience. A lot of times when I've given actors scripts and let's say during an audition, I hear people reading the same scene over and over, and they keep tripping on one word, they keep tripping on that line, they keep, and suddenly it's like, no, it's the wrong line. It's not you. It's the way we wrote it. And because I've been performing forever, I have a better ear for what'll play and what won't play, if it's too wordy, if that kind of thing. I also find that when I write specifically for the actors I have in mind. And I've been working with the same company of people for almost 50 years. So I know Tom's cadence, I know Glenn's cadence. What I hate when I read a script is everybody talks the same. Everybody has the same vocabulary, everybody has the same. That's not how it is. That's not the real world. So when I write specifically for people, whether they play the role or not. I can hear it better, And because I was an actor, I think it helps me envision the whole thing better, because I know how to play each thing I'm writing.
So then if you're writing for this metaphorical Tom or Glenn, when they come in as the actor, you can kind of say, that's not the Tom I had in mind, or that's not what I heard. Do you ever adjust it for the new actor? I always adjust according to the audience. When I write the shows, I write specifically for people. They come in, if they're not available, I'll cast somebody else, and then I'll adjust it to the person I'm working with. But we rewrite all the time. All the time. None of my shows have ever been set, even though technically they're supposed to be. I'll always be rewriting jokes, or this part doesn't work. Jane Milmore, my partner, and I, we had a shorthand that we did with our actors. And it's a company of actors. They're all close friends, but they've been working with us forever, so they're used to this. This is unfair to do to anybody, but this is what we would do. I'd be on stage in a scene. Jane would be out in the audience, and from across the room, one or the two of us would be going like this in the middle of the scene, which meant cut this bit, or throw it out. So the actors performing with us would be horrified, to see me going like this while they're talking. So, but anyway, we always rewrote, and then after we would finish the first production, we would rewrite again before we published the show with Samuel French. And then if I ever resurrect any of these shows and start doing them, I start rewriting them again anyway. It's never finished, as far as I'm concerned. It'll never be done.